You know what's killing your dreams right now? It's not lack of talent. It's not bad luck. It's not even the economy or your circumstances. It's that voice in your head every single morning that whispers, 5 more minutes, just hit snooze one more time. You can start tomorrow. That voice. That's the assassin of ambition. That's the thief stealing your future while you sleep. And today, right here, right now, we're going to destroy it forever. I want you to think about something for a moment. Really think about it. What did you do in the first hour after you woke up this morning? Did you grab your phone and scroll mindlessly through social media, comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel? Did you hit snooze 3, 4, maybe 5 times, negotiating with yourself about how much sleep you really need? Did you stumble out of bed already defeated, already tired, already dreading the day ahead? Because if you did, I want you to know something crucial. You're not alone. But more importantly, you're about to change. See, I've learned something profound in my journey from a small city in India to Hollywood, from obscurity to opportunity, from dreaming to doing. The battle for your entire day, for your entire life, is won or lost in the first hour after you open your eyes. Everything else is just a consequence. Your morning is not just the start of your day. It's the statement of intent for your entire existence. It's where champions are made or broken. It's where legends separate themselves from the masses who keep saying someday, while their dreams collect dust. Let me tell you about a morning that changed everything for me. I was 19 years old, competing in the Miss World pageant. The night before the final competition, I couldn't sleep. Not because I was nervous, although I was terrified, but because I had made a decision. I had decided that no matter what happened, I was going to wake up at 4:30 in the morning, go through my entire routine, prepare myself mentally and physically, and show up as the absolute best version of myself. My roommate thought I was insane. Priyanka, she said, you need rest. Sleep in. You'll be exhausted. But I knew something she didn't understand yet. The competition wasn't going to be won on that stage. It was going to be won in those quiet hours before dawn, when everyone else was still sleeping, when I was building the mental fortress that would carry me through. When my alarm went off at 4:30, my body screamed at me to stay in bed. My mind threw every excuse at me. You're tired. You deserve rest. What difference will a few hours make? But I got up anyway. I did my meditation. I did my affirmations. I visualized myself winning. I prepared my body and my mind like a warrior preparing for battle. And you know what happened? I didn't just show up that day. I owned that day. I became Miss World not because I was the most talented or the most beautiful, but because I had won the morning. I had conquered myself when it was hardest, when no one was watching, when I could have easily justified staying in bed. That's the secret nobody tells you. Success isn't about the big moments. It's about what you do when no one is watching. It's about those small decisions you make in the darkness before dawn. It's about whether you choose comfort or growth, ease or excellence, sleep or supremacy over your own limitations. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. That's easy for you to say. You're Priyanka Chopra. You're successful. You have resources. You have help. You have motivation. But let me take you back further. Let me tell you about the girl who grew up moving from city to city because her parents were in the army. The girl who was bullied so badly in an American high school that she had to return to India. The girl who was told she'd never make it in Bollywood because she didn't fit the conventional standards. The girl who was rejected, criticized, doubted, and dismissed more times than she can count. That girl didn't have advantages. That girl had a choice, the same choice you have right now, to let circumstances define her or to let her morning rituals refine her. You see, laziness isn't about being physically inactive. Laziness is about being mentally uncommitted. It's about lying to yourself that tomorrow will be different when you keep making the same choices today. It's about knowing what you should do, but choosing what's comfortable instead. And the most dangerous place where laziness lives is in your morning routine, or lack thereof. Because if you can't win your morning, you won't win your day. If you can't win your day, you won't win your week. If you can't win your week, you won't win your life. Let me share something that might surprise you. There was a period in my career when I was doing 3 films simultaneously, building a production company, working on my music, and trying to break into Hollywood. I was sleeping 4 to 5 hours a night. I was exhausted, burned out. People are running on fumes. People around me kept saying, "Slow down. You're going to collapse. You need rest." And they were right. But the solution wasn't to sleep more in the morning. The solution was to make my mornings more intentional, more powerful, more focused. I started waking up even earlier, not to work more, but to center myself more. I started waking up at 5 a.m., and the first hour of my day became sacred. Not for emails, not for calls, not for other people's agendas, but for me, for my mind, for my body, for my spirit. And something magical happened. When I gave myself that hour, when I invested in my morning ritual, I actually became more productive with less time. I became more focused, more energized, more creative, because I wasn't just waking up and reacting to life. I was waking up and creating my life. There's a massive difference. Most people wake up in reaction mode. The alarm goes off and immediately they're behind. They're rushing. They're stressed. They're already defeated before they've even started. But when you wake up with intention, when you have a morning ritual that grounds you, you're not reacting. You're creating. You're setting the tone. You're declaring to the universe, "This is my day, and I'm going to make it count." So let's talk about what this actually looks like. Let's talk about the specific morning rituals that will destroy laziness and transform your life. Because I'm not here to just motivate you for the next 20 minutes. I'm here to give you a blueprint that you can implement tomorrow morning. A system that will rewire your brain, rebuild your habits, and revolutionize your results. The first ritual is the most obvious and the most difficult. You have to wake up early. Not just earlier than you do now, but early enough that you have time for yourself before the world makes demands on you. For me, that's 5 a.m. For you, it might be 4:30 or 5:30 or 6 a.m. The specific time matters less than the principle. You need to wake up early enough that you have at least 1 hour that belongs entirely to you. 1 hour where you're not answering emails, not checking messages, not responding to other people's emergencies. 1 hour where you invest in yourself. Now, I can hear the protests already. I'm not a morning person. I need 8 hours of sleep. I have kids. I work late. Listen to me carefully. Those are not reasons. Those are excuses. And the difference between successful people and everyone else is that successful people don't accept their own excuses. They challenge them. They question them. They overcome them. If you're not a morning person, become one. If you need 8 hours of sleep, go to bed earlier. If you have kids, wake up before they do. If you work late, wake up early anyway. Because your morning ritual is not a luxury. It's a necessity. It's the foundation upon which everything else is built. Let me tell you about Dwayne Johnson, someone I've had the privilege of working with. Do you know when he wakes up? 4 a.m. every single day. This is a man who has achieved massive success in multiple fields: wrestling, acting, business. He could easily justify sleeping in. He could say, "I've earned the right to rest." But he doesn't, because he understands that the morning is where discipline is demonstrated. The morning is where character is built. The morning is where you prove to yourself that you're serious about your dreams. And it's not just about waking up early. It's about what you do with that time. Because you can wake up at 4 a.m. and waste the next 2 hours on your phone, and you've accomplished nothing. The magic isn't in waking up early. The magic is in having a ritual, a sequence of actions that prime your mind and body for excellence. The second ritual is movement. You have to move your body. I don't care if it's yoga, running, weightlifting, dancing, or just stretching. You have to move. Your body has been stationary for 6 to 8 hours. Your energy is low. Your blood flow is slow. Your mind is foggy. Movement changes all of that. Movement releases endorphins. Movement increases oxygen flow to your brain. Movement tells your body, we're awake now, we're alive now, we're ready now. For me, I start with yoga. 20 to 30 minutes of flowing through poses, stretching muscles, connecting breath to movement. It's not just physical exercise, it's moving meditation. It's a way of waking up every cell in my body. It's a way of creating energy rather than relying on coffee or external stimulants. And here's what's beautiful about making movement part of your morning ritual. You're accomplishing something before most people have even opened their eyes. You're already winning. You're already ahead. You're already proving to yourself that you're capable of discipline and commitment. I remember reading about a study done with executives at a Fortune 500 company. They tracked the habits of their highest performers, the people who got promoted fastest, who achieved the most, who seemed to have unlimited energy and focus. And you know what they found? Almost all of them exercised in the morning, not in the evening, not whenever they could fit it in the morning, before anything else. Because they understood that movement isn't about burning calories or building muscles. It's about building momentum. It's about starting your day with a victory. It's about doing the hard thing first so that everything else seems easier by comparison. The third ritual is nourishment. What you put into your body in the morning sets the tone for your entire day. If you skip breakfast or grab something processed and sugary, you're setting yourself up for energy crashes, brain fog, and poor decisions. If you nourish your body with real food, with nutrients, with intention, you're giving yourself sustained energy and mental clarity. I start every morning with warm water and lemon. It's simple, it's ancient, it's powerful. It hydrates your body after hours of sleep. It aids digestion. It provides vitamin C. It's a gentle way of waking up your system. Then I have something substantial. Protein, healthy fats, complex carbohydrates. Not because I'm on a diet or trying to look a certain way, but because I'm fueling my body for performance. I'm an athlete in the game of life, and athletes don't put garbage fuel in their tanks. Think about it this way. You wouldn't put cheap, contaminated fuel in a Ferrari, would you? You wouldn't expect a race car to perform at its peak if you're filling it with substandard fuel. So why do you do that to your body? Why do you expect peak performance when you're starting your day with energy drinks, donuts, or nothing at all? Your body is the most sophisticated machine ever created. It deserves premium fuel. And when you give it that, especially in the morning, you're not just feeding your body, you're sending a message to yourself. I value myself. I respect myself. I'm investing in myself. The fourth ritual is stillness. This is the one that changed everything for me. Meditation. Silence, solitude. In a world that's constantly noisy, constantly demanding, constantly pulling at your attention, you need moments of stillness. You need to create space between stimulus and response. You need to quiet the chaos so you can hear your own voice, your own intuition, your own wisdom. I meditate every morning for at least 15 to 20 minutes. Sometimes longer if I have the time. And I'm not talking about some mystical, complicated practice. I'm talking about sitting quietly, focusing on my breath, and letting thoughts come and go without attachment. That's it. Simple but not easy, because your mind will resist. Your mind will tell you that you're wasting time. Your mind will throw 1,000 thoughts at you. Things you need to do, things you forgot, things you're worried about. That's normal. That's expected. The practice is not to stop the thoughts. The practice is to observe them without being controlled by them. And here's what meditation does that nothing else can. It builds the mental muscle of awareness. It creates a gap between what happens to you and how you respond. It gives you choice. Most people go through life completely reactive. Something happens and they immediately react. Someone criticizes them and they immediately feel bad. Someone cuts them off in traffic and they immediately get angry. They're not choosing their responses. They're just reacting unconsciously, automatically, predictably. But when you meditate regularly, when you practice stillness, you develop the ability to pause, to choose, to respond rather than react. I was once in a meeting where a director told me in front of everyone that I was miscast, that I wasn't right for the role, that maybe they should consider someone else. The old me, the reactive me, would have been crushed, would have defended myself, would have either exploded in anger or collapsed in insecurity. But because I had been practicing meditation for years, because I had built that mental muscle of awareness, I was able to pause, to take a breath, to create space. And in that space, I chose my response. I calmly asked what specific concerns he had. I listened without defensiveness. I addressed each point professionally. And then I went out and delivered a performance that proved him wrong. Not because I reacted emotionally, but because I responded strategically. That's the power of stillness. That's the gift of meditation. The fifth ritual is visualization. This is where you program your mind for success. Every morning, after I meditate, I spend 5 to 10 minutes visualizing my day, my goals, my dreams as if they've already happened. Not as wishes or hopes, but as reality. I see myself succeeding in meetings. I see myself delivering powerful performances. I see myself healthy, happy, thriving. And I don't just see it visually. I feel it emotionally. I embody it physically. I make it real in my mind before it becomes real in my life. This isn't wishful thinking. This is neuroscience. Your brain cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. When you visualize something with emotion and detail, your brain creates neural pathways as if it's actually happening. You're literally rewiring your brain for success. You're priming your subconscious mind to look for opportunities, to recognize patterns, to move you toward your goals automatically. I learned this from athletes. Olympic athletes don't just practice physically, they practice mentally. They visualize their races, their routines, their performances hundreds of times before they compete. And studies have shown that mental practice can be almost as effective as physical practice in improving performance. So why wouldn't you do this for your life? Why wouldn't you mentally rehearse your success every single morning? Why wouldn't you program your mind for excellence before you step into the arena of your day? There's a story I love about Jim Carrey before he became famous. He was broke, struggling, unknown. But every night he would drive up to Mulholland Drive, look out over Los Angeles, and visualize directors being interested in him, visualize making movies, visualize success. He even wrote himself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered and dated it for Thanksgiving 1995. He carried that check in his wallet for years, and in 1994, just before Thanksgiving 1995, he found out he was going to make $10 million for Dumb and Dumber. Coincidence? Maybe, but I don't think so. I think he programmed his mind so completely, so consistently, that his brain found ways to make it happen. The sixth ritual is gratitude. This might seem simple, but it's one of the most powerful practices you can adopt. Every morning, before I start my day, I spend a few minutes thinking about what I'm grateful for. Not just big things, small things, the sunrise, clean water, a comfortable bed, my health, my family, opportunities, everything. Because gratitude is the antidote to entitlement. Gratitude is the antidote to comparison. Gratitude is the antidote to never feeling like you have enough or you are enough. When you start your day with gratitude, you're starting from abundance rather than scarcity. You're starting from I have rather than I lack. And that shift in perspective changes everything. It changes your energy. It changes your decisions. It changes what you attract. I've noticed that on days when I really connect with gratitude in the morning, opportunities seem to appear, conversations flow better, problems solve themselves more easily. Not because anything external has changed, but because my internal state has changed. I'm operating from abundance, so I create abundance. There's science behind this too. Gratitude practices have been shown to increase dopamine and serotonin, the neurotransmitters responsible for happiness. They've been shown to improve sleep, reduce stress, enhance relationships, and even boost immune function. Literally, taking 2 minutes every morning to think about what you're grateful for can make you healthier, happier, and more successful. Why wouldn't you do that? What else gives you that kind of return on investment? The seventh ritual is planning. This is where you take control of your day rather than letting your day control you. After I've done my physical movement, my meditation, my visualization, my gratitude, I spend 10 to 15 minutes planning my day. Not just a to-do list. Strategic planning. What are the 3 most important things I need to accomplish today? Not the most urgent. Not the easiest. The most important. The things that will actually move my life forward. The things that align with my bigger goals and values. Most people wake up and immediately start reacting. They check their email and spend their day responding to other people's priorities. They check social media and spend their day comparing themselves to others. They let the urgent crowd out the important. And then they wonder why they're busy all the time, but never seem to make real progress. Planning your day in the morning changes this. It puts you in the driver's seat. It ensures that even if chaos ensues, even if unexpected things happen, you've at least made progress on what truly matters. I remember a period when I was shooting Quantico in Montreal, doing a Bollywood film in Mumbai, and preparing for Baywatch in Miami all simultaneously. I was flying between continents every few days. It was absolute madness. The only way I survived was by planning every single morning. What are the 3 non-negotiables today? What can be delegated? What can wait? What needs my personal attention? Without that morning planning ritual, I would have drowned. But with it, I not only survived, I thrived. I accomplished things that people told me were impossible, not because I have more hours in the day than anyone else, but because I'm more intentional with the hours I have. Now, let me address something important. Some of you are hearing all of this and thinking, this sounds great, but that's like 2 hours every morning. I don't have 2 hours. I barely have 20 minutes. And I get it. I understand. Life is demanding. Time is limited. But here's what I want you to understand. You don't have time not to do this. You think you're saving time by skipping your morning ritual, but you're actually wasting time all day long. You're wasting time being unfocused. You're wasting time being reactive. You're wasting time recovering from poor decisions made from a place of stress and scarcity. When you invest time in your morning ritual, you're not spending time. You're multiplying time. You're creating leverage. 1 hour of intentional morning ritual gives you back 3 or 4 hours of productivity and focus throughout the day. It's the highest return on investment you'll ever get. And if you truly don't have an hour, start with 30 minutes. Start with 20. Start with 10. But start, because even 10 minutes of intentional morning practice is infinitely better than 0 minutes. Even 10 minutes of movement, stillness, and intention will transform your day. Let me tell you about a period when I had to learn this lesson the hard way. Early in my career, when I was doing back-to-back films, I thought sleep was a luxury I couldn't afford. I thought self-care was selfish. I thought the morning was just time to rush and get to set as quickly as possible. And you know what happened? I got sick. I got injured. My immune system crashed. I developed anxiety. My creativity suffered. My performances suffered. I was working more, but producing less. I was busy, but not effective. It took hitting that wall, literally collapsing on set one day, for me to realize that I had it backwards. The morning ritual wasn't a luxury I couldn't afford. It was a necessity I couldn't afford to ignore. So I made a commitment. No matter how little sleep I got, no matter how demanding the day ahead, I would protect my morning ritual like my life depended on it, because it did. And everything changed. My energy increased. My creativity exploded. My resilience strengthened. My performance improved. I was working smarter, not just harder. I was showing up as the best version of myself rather than a depleted, exhausted version struggling to keep up. Here's another crucial element of destroying laziness through morning rituals. You have to eliminate decision fatigue. Every decision you make drains mental energy. And if you wake up and have to make a bunch of decisions immediately, you're depleting your mental resources before you've even started your day. That's why having a ritual is so powerful. You're not deciding what to do every morning. You're following a system. You're running a program. You're executing a routine that's already designed. Barack Obama wore the same color suits every day. Mark Zuckerberg wears the same gray t-shirt. Steve Jobs had his black turtleneck. Not because they can't afford variety, but because they understand decision fatigue. They're eliminating unnecessary decisions so they can preserve their mental energy for decisions that actually matter. Your morning ritual should work the same way. You shouldn't wake up and wonder what you should do. You should know exactly what you're doing because you've designed a ritual that works for you. Now, let's talk about the most important part of all of this, consistency. Because none of this works if you do it once or twice or even for a week. The power of morning rituals comes from repetition. It comes from doing them even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it. Because motivation is fleeting. Motivation is an emotion that comes and goes. But discipline is a decision. Discipline is a commitment. Discipline is doing what needs to be done regardless of how you feel. I've had mornings where I absolutely did not want to get up. Mornings where I was exhausted, where I was traveling, where I'd had 3 hours of sleep. Mornings where every fiber of my being wanted to stay in bed. And I got up anyway. Not because I'm superhuman, not because it was easy, but because I had made a commitment to myself. And the integrity you have with yourself, the promises you keep to yourself when no one is watching, that's what determines your destiny. There's a beautiful quote by William James, the father of American psychology. He said, "All our life, so far as it is definite form, is but a mass of habits." Think about that. Your life is essentially a collection of habits. Your morning habits determine your morning. Your morning determines your day. Your days determine your weeks. Your weeks determine your months. Your months determine your years. Your years determine your life. So, if you want to change your life, you have to change your habits. And if you want to change your habits, you have to start with your morning. Let me share something personal. There have been times in my life when I've fallen off my morning ritual. Times when I've let circumstances or excuses win. Times when I've hit snooze more than I got up. And every single time I can see the correlation in my results. When I'm consistent with my morning ritual, my life expands. Opportunities appear, projects succeed. Relationships flourish. I feel aligned, energized, purposeful. But when I let it slide, when I make excuses, when I prioritize comfort over commitment, everything contracts. I feel scattered, reactive, unfocused. Less like I'm creating my life and more like life is happening to me. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to make a decision right now, not tomorrow, not next week, right now, that you're going to implement a morning ritual. I want you to design it based on what I've shared, adapted to your life, your schedule, your needs. Maybe it's waking up an hour earlier than you do now. Maybe it's 30 minutes, but it's earlier and it's intentional. And it includes movement, stillness, nourishment, visualization, gratitude, and planning. Maybe you spend 5 minutes on each. Maybe you spend 10. But you do all of them. Every single morning, no exceptions, no excuses, no negotiations. And here's what's going to happen. The first few days are going to be hard. Your body is going to resist. Your mind is going to throw every excuse at you. You're going to want to quit. You're going to convince yourself it's not working. That's normal. That's expected. That's your old patterns fighting for survival. But if you push through, if you commit for 30 days, something magical happens. It stops being hard. It starts being automatic. It becomes who you are rather than something you do. There's a concept in neuroscience called neuroplasticity. It's your brain's ability to rewire itself based on repeated actions and thoughts. When you do something consistently for about 30 days, your brain creates new neural pathways. Those pathways make the behavior easier, more automatic, more natural. You're literally rewiring your brain for success. You're installing new programming. And once that programming is installed, once that ritual becomes automatic, it doesn't require willpower anymore. It just is. It's who you are. I want to talk about the enemy of all of this, the real enemy. It's not laziness. Laziness is just a symptom. The real enemy is comfort. It's the desire to stay comfortable, to stay safe, to avoid discomfort. Because everything worth having is on the other side of discomfort. Every dream you have, every goal you want to achieve, every version of yourself you want to become requires you to leave comfort behind. And the morning is where you practice this. The morning is where you train yourself to choose growth over comfort, discipline over ease, long-term fulfillment over short-term pleasure. Every time your alarm goes off and you choose to get up instead of hitting snooze, you're training your brain that you're someone who keeps commitments to yourself. You're building self-trust, and self-trust is the foundation of confidence. You can't be confident if you don't trust yourself. And you can't trust yourself if you keep breaking promises to yourself. So every morning is an opportunity to either build or erode self-trust. Every morning is a referendum on who you are and who you're becoming. Let me tell you about a conversation I had with my mother. She's a doctor, incredibly disciplined, incredibly accomplished. I asked her once, How did you do it? How did you manage a medical career, raise 2 kids, support dad's military career, and still show up as this calm, centered, powerful presence? And she said something I'll never forget. She said, "Beta, I won my mornings. Every single morning before anyone else was awake, I had already meditated, exercised, and prepared myself mentally for the day. Everything after that was just execution." That's the secret. Win your mornings, win your life. It's that simple. It's that profound. And it's available to everyone. You don't need money. You don't need connections. You don't need permission. You just need commitment. You need to decide that you're done being lazy, done making excuses, done living below your potential. You need to decide that you're going to honor yourself, honor your dreams, honor your potential by showing up every single morning with intention and intensity. Now, I want to address the question I know many of you are asking. What about weekends? What about holidays? What about days when you just want to rest? And here's my answer. Rest is important. Recovery is important. But your morning ritual is not work. It's not something you need to recover from. It's how you charge your batteries. It's how you center yourself. It's how you connect with your deepest self. So yes, you might adjust it on weekends. Maybe you wake up at 6 instead of 5. Maybe you spend more time in meditation and lesson planning. But you don't skip it. You don't abandon it. Because the moment you start making exceptions, you're back to negotiating with yourself. You're back to excuses. You're back to inconsistency. Think of your morning ritual like brushing your teeth. You don't skip brushing your teeth on weekends. You don't skip it on holidays. You don't skip it because you're tired or you don't feel like it. You do it every single day because you understand the consequence of not doing it. Your morning ritual should be the same. It's non-negotiable. It's part of who you are. It's your foundation. I want to share with you one of the most powerful concepts I've learned. It's from a book called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. The compound effect is the principle that small, consistent actions, compounded over time, you create massive results. You don't need to make huge changes. You don't need to completely overhaul your life overnight. You just need to make small, positive choices consistently. And those choices, compounded over days and weeks and months and years, will transform your life completely. Your morning ritual is the compound effect in action. Waking up an hour earlier every day might not seem like much. But over a year, that's 365 extra hours. That's 15 full days. 15 extra days where you're investing in yourself, where you're building momentum, where you're becoming the person you need to be to achieve your dreams. Can you imagine what you could accomplish with 15 extra days focused entirely on your growth, your goals, your development? That's the power of the morning ritual. That's the magic of consistency. Let me tell you about something I witnessed firsthand. I have a friend, I won't name her, but she was in a really dark place. Depression, anxiety, financial struggles, relationship problems. Everything seemed to be falling apart, and I told her about morning rituals. She was skeptical. She was resistant. She said, "Priyanka, I can barely get out of bed. I can't do all of this." But I convinced her to try, just for 30 days, just to experiment. 1 hour every morning, following the ritual I've shared with you. The first week, she hated it. She called me complaining. "This is too hard. I'm too tired. It's not working." I told her to keep going. Second week, slight improvement. She wasn't complaining as much. By week 3, something shifted. She started noticing small changes. More energy, better decisions, improved mood. By the end of 30 days, she was a different person. Not completely transformed, but noticeably different. More hopeful. More focused, more alive, and she kept going. 6 months later, she had a new job, had ended a toxic relationship, had lost weight, had saved money, had completely changed her trajectory. All because she committed to winning her mornings. That's what's possible. That's what's available, not overnight, not magically, but through consistency, through discipline, through honoring yourself every single morning. And if she could do it from that place of darkness and struggle, you can do it too. Wherever you are right now, whatever challenges you're facing, you can start tomorrow morning. You can begin the process of transforming your life. Now, let me talk about obstacles because they will come. There will be days when you're sick, days when you're traveling, days when unexpected things happen. And you have to have a plan for these situations. For me, when I'm traveling, I have a condensed version of my morning ritual. 20 minutes instead of an hour, but I do it always. When I'm sick, I modify it. Maybe I meditate longer and move less, but I still do it because the ritual is not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. It's about showing up even in imperfect circumstances. There's a concept in psychology called implementation intentions. It's basically the idea that you plan in advance for obstacles. You say, if X happens, then I will do Y. For example, if I'm traveling and don't have access to a gym, I will do bodyweight exercises in my hotel room. If I wake up sick, I will still meditate and do gentle stretching. If I have to wake up extra early for a flight, I will do a shortened version of my ritual. By planning for obstacles in advance, you remove the decision making in the moment. You're not figuring out what to do when challenges arise. You already know. Let me also address technology and social media, because this is a massive trap. You absolutely cannot, under any circumstances, check your phone first thing in the morning. The moment you check your phone, you've lost. You've given away your mental space to other people's agendas, to news designed to trigger you, to social media designed to make you compare and despair. Your morning ritual should be device-free. No phone, no computer, no TV, no distractions, just you and your practice. I know this is hard. I know your phone is your alarm clock. I know you feel like you need to check messages, but get an actual alarm clock. Put your phone in another room. Make it inconvenient to check, because those first moments of consciousness are precious. They set the tone for everything. If you start your day scrolling through Instagram, comparing yourself to filtered images and highlight reels, you're starting from lack. You're starting from, I'm not enough. But if you start your day with movement, meditation, and gratitude, you're starting from abundance. You're starting from, I am enough and I'm becoming more. Here's something else that's important. Your morning ritual should evolve. What works for you now might need adjustment in 6 months or a year. As you grow, as your life changes, as you learn more about yourself, your ritual can adapt. The core principles stay the same. Wake early, move your body, center your mind, nourish yourself, visualize success, practice gratitude, plan your day. But the specifics can change. Maybe you switch from yoga to running. Maybe you add journaling. Maybe you shorten or lengthen different elements. The key is to keep the structure, but allow flexibility within it. I want to talk about accountability, because this can be a game changer. Tell someone about your commitment. Find a friend who wants to implement a morning ritual too. Check in with each other. Share your wins. Support each other through challenges. Accountability exponentially increases your chances of success. There's something powerful about knowing someone else is counting on you, someone else is checking in, someone else cares about your progress. When I first started really getting serious about my morning ritual, I told my team, don't schedule anything before 8 a.m. That time is sacred. It's non-negotiable. And I told my family, I told people I was close to. And you know what happened? They support